best fit, as we are looking at this. We're going to use that to come up with the equation. We're going to explain correlation coefficient, and what's really nice on the Desmos calculator also, it shows us this -1 to 1 inclusive, meaning that when we find an equation, so someone was asking about it in the homework, like question number 4 or 5, and they said, my equation wasn't anything like that. I didn't get 200 and something, I got 400. That would have been okay, as long as I can see your work. So we're going to talk about the goodness of a linear fit. We're going to use the graphing calculator, in this case the Desmos. We're going to interpret it looking at the direction. Is it positive, negative, the magnitude? This part right here, I need you to write this down. On the Desmos calculator, just write this part down. I need you, when we go to use that Desmos calculator, the graphing calculator, you're going to click on the plus button and you're going to select the table. Okay? And I'm going to show you that in just a minute. So instead of choosing the equation the first time, you're going to select table. Now this is going to be what you want to use when you do your homework for the technology also. Then you're going to put the data in the table, and then in the box below we're going to type the equation. So you're going to use the plus button, select the table, then we'll go to the next box, we'll type in our equation. And it says, when you type y and then you put a 1, it'll automatically do a subscript. You don't have to write this all down. It says the line of best fit will appear. We're going to use the wrench. Obviously, I was not typing this very good. That should have been right side of the screen. To set the scale. And we're going to talk about that so that your graph fits nicely on the screen. Okay? So, key thing is the plus button table, then we're going to put in the equation down below. So, I'll go back to it. Okay, we're going to do it together on your computer in just a few minutes. So, vocabulary, trend line. Up to this point, there were many trend lines that you possibly could have drawn for your data. And you would have seen, if I was looking at the trend line for this one right here, where it says the correlation coefficient is 0.5, if I was drawing and I looked at all of your equations and you were coming up with an equation, I could have the first person could have drawn this line. I could have someone else have drawn that line and said half the points are above and below, right? I could have someone else say, you know, I think it should be more like this. All of these have 3 different slopes and 3 different y-intercepts, right? All of those are pretty decent trend lines. But we want to look for the one that's called the line of best fit. So the graphing calculator, in our case the Desmos calculator, is going to help us to get the equation, and it's called using linear regression. Okay? So the graphing calculator that we're going to use is going to give us a correlation coefficient. So if R is -1, that's a really strong negative correlation. I had yesterday someone in their homework thinking that if I'm drawing a line of best fit and I want half the data points above and below, that this would work. Half above, half below. Not really. The key thing is that when you draw that line of best fit, that line has to be in the same, like if it's a negative correlation, your line has to be half the points above and below, but it has to be in that negative correlation. It has to be going in the same line. So -1 is really strong. It means almost every point is on your line, whereas a +1 strong correlation is going to be a positive slope, and it means almost every point, if I draw a straight line, would be on that line. The 0.5, -0.5, not as strongly correlated. 0, there's no correlation, right? This would be like if I was doing your height and your IQ. Okay, so it says the nearer to 1 or -1, the more closely the data is clustered to the line of best fit. If R is near 1, the data lie really close to the line of best fit in a positive slope. If R is -1, the data lies really close but in a negative slope. What we are going to do is we are going to put this information in, but we are not going to put it in the graphing calculator and get a linear regression. We are going to put this in. So this says this was college tuition. Where you're going to use the graphing calculator, the average college tuition for a public 4-year school. So like Morehead State, NDSU, UND, if you were going in-state college tuition. They went back to this time in 2001 to 2007. We are not going to put it in this way, but I just want you to make sure you're on this page. We are going to use all the numbers in this column. So when we do ours, if I am looking at yours, the numbers that you're going to put in your graphing calculator are 2001, or in the Desmos calculator, 2001 to 2007. And then we are going to go and we are going to put in all these numbers for our costs. So have this page open to your notes, and if you would please right now go to your Desmos calculator. And on your Desmos calculator, this is where I talked about you're going to hit the plus, and so I'll wait till all the plus. You made a table. We are going to put in the first date was 2000. You can just type it, 2001. Hit enter. You type in 2002. You hit enter. How nice, right? If you don't want to type the rest of them, you don't have to. You're going to go all the way to 2007. Keep hitting return or enter. Now go in and put in your y's. So please do that right now. Type in y1. We're going to put equal. No, we're not going to put equal. What you are going to do, I forgot. You are going to, let's start over. So we're going to have y1. And then you need to go to the, really nice because it shows us quite a bit of information. So this is the correlation coefficient squared. This is our R. That's telling us this is a really positive, right, correlation. This tells me my slope is 409.429, right? This tells me negative 815,586 in year zero. Year zero, what is that? So let's look at, what if you wanted to come up with a line of best fit and you thought, okay, I got that information. Let's type in y equals. So go to your next one down. What do you want to round the 409.429 to? That means each year your tuition is going up by $409.42, right? What should we round it to? Y equals what? 410? Okay. Some people want, if you want to try 409, you want to try 410, okay? X, right? Plus, should we keep the same y-intercept, do you think? So minus 815, right? Whoa. Look how just changing the slope changed my graph quite a bit, right? So I'm going to be okay when we do that, but could you go back here and say, you know, I want to change this to 409.5. Much closer, right? What if I just go with 409? It's quite a bit off. Could I move my y-intercept up and change that to be 60? And that helps some, but not really. So you can see how you can easily change these on the graphing calculator, which is super nice, okay?